experience. This is going to be episode 172, continuing our photo bashing. I like this one just because, again, we get a little more body, but also I'm going to keep that hat in just because I like that hat. I've been thinking about a hat for this character. I don't know how necessary or cool or capable it is. Like, I guess anybody could do anything. So, of course, I could do it, but yeah, I like this hat. I like this hat for this character, so I'm going to go ahead and keep the hat in. That's going to be fun and this is gonna be a good one. So, well, of course, all hopes and everything like that. This is gonna be a good one. I got a Two Bears One Cave podcast playing in the background. Tom Segura with Mark Normand. Burt Kreischer is shooting a movie or something, so he's not gonna be there. And then I have what's coming on next? Some some Loki stuff and some One Piece stuff and then David Finch's earlier stream from tonight. He did a Superman versus Grodd. And yeah, I'll probably be ending. That'll probably be the end of the stream by the time that starts. And then I don't know. We'll see later on. I'll be back again later on tonight. But yeah, then some Fat Man Beyond podcast. Either way, I'm gonna let those rock in the background while I work, and let's just do it, man.
Apparently. It's great. Yeah, I'm in. But the other thing is, like, you're right about the emotion thing. Because you see comedians, they'll write a joke and get no love. And they're like, I'm going to write about when I got diddled. And then people are like, oh my God, are you okay? Yeah. And they're like, oh, I got something here. So now the ha-ha is gone, but we got the support thing. And that's kind of, comedy went that way for a while.
Yeah, it did. Yeah, we're like away from jokes.
Yeah. Jokes. I know.
You're a really good joke writer.
Oh, like thanks.
I feel like you and Sam, you do a Pipe with Sam Morril.
Yes.
What is it? It's You Might Be Drunk. Also, just like pure joke writer. I wonder if like being in New York fuels that in a way.
Well,
There's,
yeah.
Like, that type of audience.
Definitely. Quick. We have ADD. We need it. The New York minute, So you gotta have a punch.
So yeah, I'm gonna have to cut this
out.
out.
And then you come out to LA and you're like, wow, I just got lost in this guy's story and had a big ending. I'm like, I don't have the courage to like sit in a story. I went for Bill Burr once years ago, and he was like, "Hey, you got good stuff, but like you got to start blowing that stuff out and getting into stories." And I was like, "Oh wow, okay." And I tried it, and it went horrible, and I wasted 10 minutes, and I just went back to jokes.
Well, I mean, you do jokes really well, so I don't think
you
don't need to.
It's so hard to write. It takes me years. You write one joke, and you're like, "Oh, that was 11 seconds."
I know. I remember talking to Justin about it one time. About he's like, I have like 60 jokes when you tell a story.
I know. Yeah. And I'm so jealous, but I do love a good zinger.
Of course.
Yeah.
There's no like, as great as like great stories are, and like I do a lot of stories. I feel like even in my own act, I look forward like when I go like, oh, I have like these jokes around this story. They're fun to tell, and everybody appreciates a great line.
Of course.
It's like, a great setup and punch.
Well, two questions. One, do you ever have that story? Have you ever had a story that just you had to give up after like a year of trying it? You're like, it just isn't hitting. But you wasted all that time on it and you just gave it up?
Yeah.
Really?
Oh yeah, and also,
terrifying.
There's this one story where I was touring with it. I shot it in a special, 2 specials ago, and when I did the edit it down. I was like, I just didn't love it enough.
Mm-hmm.
Then next special, I shot it again.
Wow.
I cut it again.
Wow.
And then so now I'm touring again, and I have the story that I've cut.
Yeah.
So now
I
made it like the story is better.
Of course.
Now.
Yeah.
Because every time that I've kept doing it, it gets a little bit better.
Let hone it.
Yeah. So now I'm like, maybe I'll keep it in this time. I don't know. Like I started closing on it, so I'm like, oh, this might be the time that it's ready. But it's something that I've been like working on for like 3 or 4 years.
Yeah.
Getting the story right. But I've had other ones where you go, you know what I hate? I hate doing stand up where you get like, to kind of give it a reference for people. A killer line is like a 10, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then like, a 5 is like chuckles.
Sure.
And I hate having a line that gets like a 5 or 6, and then just being like, oh, just keep going.
Yeah,
You know?
I'm with you.
And then you go, and then after a few months, you're like, fucking change the line.
Yes.
Like, change the line, and then you start to, and then you might on a show try a line and it gets like a 3, and you're like, oh fuck, I'll just go back to that 6.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
But then if you get loose enough and you're willing to risk enough, you can make it a 10.
Right. Right.
But you have to be willing to eat shit.
That's so true.
And it's hard to do.
This is why you're up here, because you're a cut above, because a lot of people get that 5 and they go, hey, it's still a laugh. Like,
Yeah.
5 is something, but you got to tweak it. And that's A, why you got to get up a bunch and run it a bunch and fail a bunch.
Yes.
And B, why a special should take a little time. These guys, like, I do an hour a year. You're like, you're not Louis. You're not jerking off.
Yeah.
You're full of shit. Like, just get better. Do it longer. There's no rush.
There's
I know,
no rush.
especially it's so enticing to people because you get all the accolades
Yes.
and the buzz, and we got a press tour and all that. But like,
But what's better than getting a special is getting a special that's fucking awesome.
exactly.
So yeah,
exactly.
take your time and make it work.
Take your time.
You gotta do the club spots.
You gotta do it.
That's
You
what I've
gotta do
learned.
it.
You can do. What happens is if you insulate yourself in your big shows, you lose that kind of a connective tissue
Yes.
that you get in a club that you can't mimic. Because the bigger the stage, the more it becomes a presentation of your act.
Ah.
It's like when you're in an arena, you might as well be on a DVD.
Yeah, exactly.
And you're presenting it. But clubs are the only place where you can really fuck around, really try shit. And that's the thing, in a club, if you try a line and you bomb, it's like, you acknowledge it. And you kind of make it a thing.
I love that.
In a theater, it's just, you're like,
Keep going.
yeah, you kind of got to be like, I mean, it's 3,000 people there. You can't be like, hey guys.
Yeah.
But it's 150 people. It's like, it's engaging and
Yeah.
it's how you make it work.
But that's what's great about comedy is like there's some musicians not like, oh shit, that was bad. Hold on, let me get back. Santeria or whatever the fuck, You gotta just keep going, but we can address, and that's the whole essence of comedy is that honesty and that keeping it real thing.
Yeah.
So that's why it gets weird when comics are like up there being preachy, and that's why the angry comic I never really got into because I'm like, are you that mad all the time about this?
Yeah.
Come on, you're full of shit. I get you're performing, but like, you're talking about candy corn,
Right.
But my second question for you, because I'm fascinated with the story stuff, what happens when you have no story? You don't really drink. You're a married guy or whatever. You married?
Yeah.
You got kids.
Yeah.
I don't know. Jim Jeffries said no great story ever started with I ate a salad.
Right.
So do you kind of get into an accident on the 405 and go, all right, this could be something.
Well, it's actually a really good question. So it happens every time a special comes out, but now the feeling is familiar. So, which is like it's always daunting. And you're like, what am I going to talk about? But then you go, this is how I felt last time. And I figured it out. So that part comforts the feeling of despair. And then, honestly, the thing that helps the most is talking to somebody that you really click with.
Yes.
Who knows you, and you start going like, they go, you studied abroad, right? And you're like, yeah. Like, where'd you? And then I start going like, I remember this, I remember that. Like when I was in Spain, and then I'm like, I had this job. I was in Boston for like 8 weeks, and so you start telling stories to a friend.
Yeah.
And you start basically mining for things like that.
Right.
And then I balance that with what's happening in my life at the time. So right now I have a 2 and a 5-year-old. So like I have 10 minutes from them, and then it's basically a back and forth of like old stuff, like old thing that what story hasn't happened, a story that I haven't told yet, and then current stuff that's happening.
Wow. Jeez, I got the whole formula there.
Yeah, and then I try to do a little bit of topical stuff too.
Keep it fresh.
Yeah, so it's like that's kind of like I don't know how I build it.
That's one thing I will say as a joke guy. I can kind of pull a joke out of thin air, not thin air, but like, oh, that's weird. You're at the coffee shop, like, what's weird how people do that? And then you write it down, then it becomes a bit. But I feel like the story stuff kind of has to be an event. Like something had to happen.
Yeah, something has to happen. And then what ends up happening is, like, and Bert is actually really good at this, is that because he's a great embellisher, exaggerator, he'll take the roots, like this is the blueprint of a real story, but he just punches it up so crazy with like, details that are fabricated or exaggerated, but like that, because he's like a fantastical storyteller.
He's good.
But it's like, it's almost like, you're like, did that really happen?
It's
He's like,
fantasy.
who cares?
Right.
You
It's
know?
entertainment.
Right. So mine is more like rooted in reality,
Mhm.
and so like I just have to like basically keep trying lines. So it's like it's jokes within a story.
Yeah, you are writing.
So you're writing, yeah, but it's like sometimes I'll tell that story and I'm like, well, it just feels like there's nothing. Oh my god, like there's not that big line. So then I start going like, well, where could lines go?
Right.
Like joke lines. Go,
Yes.
You know?
See, that's the important part, because some schmuck in Idaho is like, I got stories.
Yeah.
And then he goes up and eats shit, but he has maybe a big ending. It's that middle. That's the professionalism.
Yes. Yeah. And like finding jokes in the little nuances, like, cause I also like balancing subtle jokes.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Like where it's like it's not a punch in the face. You need a punch in the face somewhere in your story.
Yeah, yeah.
A big line.
Of course.
But I like having the little lines throughout. Like you do a lot of like little lines. Like
Yeah.
it's like it's almost like a throwing it aside.
Oh,
but it's
no
actually
wonder.
a joke.
Yes.
You know, like
Yes.
so like having those in, I think, makes it work.
I agree. Well, I'm worried we lost half the crowd with our joke jizzing, but
Go fuck yourself.
I don't know. Epstein's innocent. I don't know. I'm just trying to say something to get him back.
You did something, by the way. So I've said this on multiple podcasts. How much I admire the guys like yourself who did the self-release.
Oh, thanks.
special.
It was a failure, but it
wait,
turned
why
into
is it?
something great.
Why is it a failure?
Well, nobody would buy it. I tried. I was doing this act on the road, and it was really clicking. It was hitting. And I was like,
Yeah.
I got something here. And I'm a big comedy nerd, and I'm hard on myself. And
Yeah.
I was still like, this is a solid hour.
Which, by the way, sorry to cut you off. I remember being in a green room with Attell opening for him one time.
Oh,
And
wow.
I go, it's about what you're saying. I go, everybody started doing albums.
Yes.
It's like 2005, I think.
Sure.
So I go, yeah, somebody asked me if I'm going to do an album. Should I do an album? And he goes, do you have an hour you're in love with? And I go, no. He goes, what is your answer?
Wow.
So it's like, do the thing when you go, this is something.
Yeah.
So I always remember that. So whenever they go, do you want to do a special? I'll be like, not yet. And then I'll make a call. I'll be like, hey, you can book it now.
Right.
Because now I feel like it's solid.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
great.
But yeah, so you feel like this is something.
Yes, but I tell your story all the time. Like, what do you want to be, an actor? With you and Attell.
Yeah.
That shit hit me to my core, and I heard that 5 years ago, 6 years ago, whatever that was.
That was so cool.
Oh, dude, I think about that all the time.
This was so he requested me,
Yeah.
which was like
That's huge.
so this was the first time. I was like, oh my god, I'm gonna feature for Attell. And the next year they're like, tell me ask you if you would do it. And I was like, fuck yeah. I did like 2 of the same joke
Oh
from
my
the
god.
previous year. Yeah, he was like, what do you want to be an actor or something? I was like, what? He was like, you can't do all the new Tom Hanks? And I was like,
Yeah.
I was like, I want to die.
Oh my. The king, the funniest guy on the planet. Like, you're not a comic.
Yeah, you're not really working?
Yeah.
I was like, I mean, yeah, I have a job though. You know, like, I wasn't a full-time guy. you know?
Sure.
And I was like, yeah, that was so cool.
Yeah, I think about it. Well, I'm like, I'm not gonna write today. I think about that, and I'm like, all right, here we go. I'm back.
I want to be a fine actor like Tom.
Yeah.
So, we are supported by Raycon. Whether it's for work or play, a lot of us are going to be on the move again this summer. My advice to you is take your Raycons with you. I mean, I pop them in. I'm going for a walk. I'm getting on the elliptical. I'm going to be riding public transportation. I'm going to the airport. I love music and podcasts playing all the time. You get crisp, powerful beats at half the price of other premium auto brands. They look great. They feel even better. Super comfortable. Come in a wide range of colors and with customizable gel tips included for a comfortable in-ear fit. Super comfy, built wherever you go. Seamless Bluetooth pairing, and I mean right away. None of this like, what do I gotta hold on? It's there. Listen up. Raycon's offering 15% off all their products for our listeners, and here's what you gotta do to get it. Go to buyraycon.com/bears. There you'll get 15% off your entire Raycon order, and that's such a good deal. You want to grab a pair and a spare. That's 15% off at buyraycon.com/bears. Buyraycon.com/bears. We are supported by Public. Listen, it can be overwhelming and intimidating to kind of step into the investment world, stocks and bonds, right? You see these Ivy League guys on the shows, buy, sell, short, sweet, like you don't even know what's going on. These people at Public, they realize that the stock market is made for public trading, so it should be more accessible for why you can join public.com, the investing social network where you can buy stocks for any amount of money and share ideas with a community of investors. I think it's really cool that you have other people you can chat with and you feel like it's not somebody lecturing you. It's like another investor like you. The app is free to use, there are no minimum accounts to get started, and they have fractional investing. You can buy slices of stocks with any amount of money versus the full shares. You can get started with as little as $1. Public.com takes the responsible approach. They don't promote risky or gambling-like behavior, offer complex trading tools to beginners, and they don't encourage day trading. Go to public.com/2bears. Follow me on public.com and see what I'm investing in. You can start investing today with as little as $1. You can get a free slice of stock when you join. Just go to public.com/2bears to download the public.com app. Valid for U.S. residents 18 and over, subject to account approval. See public.com/disclosures, not investment advice. So you say I got something. Do you call an agent and go like, can we get a special? Like,
Yeah, all that. I had the tape, the DVD, whatever it was, the link, and I'm at the Denver Comedy Works ripping it, and they have a camera, so I'm like, give me that footage. Saturday early show is the best show. Here, you take this, send it to Netflix or HBO or Amazon, whatever it is. And they were like, yeah, thanks, but no thanks. We like you. You know, you get that email. They're all big fans. They love you. Yeah. And you're like, they don't love me. Whatever. So then I thought, all right, that's not working. And I just kept doing that hour. Now it's getting better and better, like your story. It's just honing and honing. So it was almost like, well, maybe it was for the best, because now it's even better.
Yeah.
And then I said, I bet if we film it, they'll buy it. Like, we do all the work for them. The cameras and the lights, and we rent the theater, and we fill it up, and we color correct it, and sound all that shit. And I was like, let's do that. That's the next goal. So then we did that. I spent all my money, doing that. Still didn't buy it. And so I said, well, I'm not going to throw it in the garbage. So, and I'm embarrassing myself when I go back to Denver 2 years in a row, and they're mouthing my jokes.
Yeah.
And you're like, that hurts. I gotta write a new hour, so I gotta put this thing out. So YouTube is the only other option.
Now you're approaching 7 million views.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, so if you haven't seen Out to Lunch, it's on YouTube, and it's a great special, man.
Oh, thanks. I appreciate it.
It's so, I actually, because I love, like, I consider it like a real entrepreneurial move. I love that, like, because I feel like a lot of comics don't acknowledge or even realize that we're all entrepreneurs.
Oh, yeah.
Like, you're running Mark Norman comedy business.
Exactly.
So,
completely.
like, to do that, and then, like, obviously, it worked because a lot of people watched it, a lot of people buy tickets to see you now, so, like, that is the path you want to be on.
Oh, really?
For sure, man.
Oh, well, that means a lot. Thanks. Because, my mom is still like, oh, yeah, what does YouTube pay? And you're like, well, it's kind of, it doesn't really pay. It's not like a network like that. And she's like, does it pay? And you're like, no, you get like a check every month for $800 or something. She's like, oof. And I'm like, no, it's got views. She's like, well, how long do you have to watch it to get a view? And I'm like, Jesus, Mark, you're killing me. But yeah, maybe that's why I'm a comic. But
yeah, that is why you're a comic for sure. But I mean, like you did like the difference is you doing that. The other side of it is somebody who's like, I can't get a special. And they're like, and they
that guy.
Oh, there's so many of that guy. And then sometimes he's like, they don't want to fucking give specials to white guys. And you're like, okay.
Right. And maybe if there's truth to that, you still got to figure it out. Like NWA couldn't sell us a record, but they still made it work.
You got to make it work.
Yes.
It's like you don't make, like, things don't happen by somebody being like, people don't want to give me stuff, so I'll just sit here.
Yeah.
Like, okay. I mean, we know so many comics like that.
That's 99% of comics.
Yeah, and there's so many of those guys are the ones too who you're like, where is that guy? And they're like, well, he stopped doing it.
Yes.
Which is always like, oh yeah.
Yeah. You're like, good.
The only thing you can do is like move forward.
Right.
And like, if an opportunity is given to you, you make it happen. And that's what I love seeing that, like, you, Schultz, Giannis, Sam, like, you guys all shot things and put it out. I'm like, yeah, that's like, that is it's inspiring, I think.
Oh, thanks. I appreciate it. And I kind of am glad it's on there now. I'm glad I own it. I'm glad I can see the numbers. I'm glad I get to show people and share a link easily. And I get all these emails that I love it. Now I want to do comedy. I showed it to my aunt. I showed it to my friends and all that. So that's all great.
Have you ever gotten the message, hey man, I love your comedy. I've got a couple jokes if you want to hear them. Like,
I get that all the time.
Yeah, and you're like, yeah.
Yeah, I want to hear your joke with 3 N-words in it for no reason. Yeah, I'll take it.
Yeah.
Oh, I had a point that I lost.
sorry, I
No,
cut you
no,
off.
I lost it. But boy, it was something juicy. That's gone. Gone.
That's my fault.
Like my boner.
Also, sorry, because we mentioned the one you do with Samuel. We might be trying. You've also been doing Tuesdays with Stories
Oh,
with
what?
Jonas for a minute.
Oh, we've been doing that for 7, 8 years.
Yeah. So another podcast you can check out with Mark. You toured Europe
Are you
with
serious?
Pat, with Bert.
Ah, yes.
And
That was a tough 2 weeks.
what? What? I don't really. What was it?
Well, Bert called, and Bert's a
This
friend.
fucking
You gotta
bullshit.
hand it to Bert for being rich. He's shooting movies. He's hanging out with Snoop Dogg, and
Oh,
he's
yeah.
still like a normal, nice, bad guy.
Yeah, he really is.
And I appreciate that, and I'll never forget it. Some guys, they got one fucking T-shirt sale, and they're like, "All right, I'll see you in hell." Like, hey, thanks.
Yeah.
But yeah, thanks, Tim Dillon. But yeah, no, I'm just kidding. Tim Dillon is a very funny gay man. But Bert is super cool, and I was like, he's like, "Hey, you want to go to Europe?" And I'm like, "Trip to Europe, paid to do comedy, drinking, the whole thing. I'm in. When am I going to Europe?"
Yeah.
And
That's so whack.
it was challenging.
Really?
Well, I like to drink as much as the next guy, but I'm a normal human being who gets hungover and is an introvert and
Right.
likes being alone and all that.
Yeah.
And Bert's like drinking all night, shot, eating pizza at 5 a.m., then waking up at 9 a.m., hitting the treadmill with a Coors Light, and I'm like, I'm shitting blood, I'm trembling, I'm foaming at the mouth, I'm in a coke den with 2 naked guys. I'm like, what happened? How did we get here? And he's like, hey, I'm at the gym, I'm gonna do some promo. You wanna be in my video where we roller skate in our panties? I'm like, I'm gonna kill myself. This is day 2, and we got a flight tomorrow at 7 a.m. to Copenhagen, and I don't know how we're gonna do this.
Yeah, I think about like how I would never be able to tour with him. Like the way,
Yeah.
I've done vacation with him, and I did a 1-day trip to San Francisco with him where he picked me up at 7 a.m.
Yeah.
32-ounce vodka soda,
There you go.
and then we went to the airport and we went to the bar and they're like, Bert! Like the bartenders were like, Bert!
Yeah.
And then
And he likes it. We run from that. We go, oh, this guy
yeah.
knows us. Let's go to a different place.
drinks a couple there, get on the plane, and he was like, double, keep coming.
Yeah.
So they brought, and like I'm drinking one for every 2 or 3 that he's drinking.
Yes.
So we get to the hotel at fucking, I don't know, it was like noon or 11 a.m. and I was like, I'm gonna go like take a nap.
Yeah.
And I go, what about you? He goes, I'll be right here. Sitting at the bar. And I got to see him like 3 hours later. And here's the thing, we drink all the rest of the day.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, I mean, I'm just like
Yes.
this. And I go, what are you gonna do? He's like, doesn't it feel great to keep that buzz going?
No.
And I go, I'm so tired.
Right.
And he goes, oh no, like I feel, and he looks fine.
He looks great.
fine.
Yeah, he's shirtless at like a 5-star restaurant, eating steak and taking photos with everybody.
Yeah.
And I want to kill myself.
Yeah.
I just want to go home, but he didn't do it. And you're the whole time selfishly, I don't know, 13 days in, I'm like, he's gonna crack. There's
Yeah.
gonna be some point where he's
Yeah.
gonna, he's gonna fall into a ball of tears at some point, and he never did.
And the energy stays here. You know,
Yes.
like he doesn't have that like that drag. Like
No,
he's
don't
just,
drag.
no, he's just like I think there's something to this Mickey Mantle thing, man.
No doubt about it. I mean, when I saw that cunt on the elliptical, I was pissed. I was like, God damn it! And then we did 3 shows that night or 2 shows that night, and he pulls it off. Then he sells birds. Then he does photos. Then
Yeah.
he signs posters. I mean,
And then he's like, hey to the audience, do you guys want to come out with me? And you're
Yeah.
like, what are you doing? And then tells them all to come to a bar, and then we'll hang out, photograph shots with everybody at the bar, and you're like, how do you do this?
I don't know how he does it, and it's damn impressive.
It's like he has Joe Rogan's drive for exercise for drinking and meeting people. Joe won't miss a workout, and Rogan's
Right.
like, there's no way I'm not going to shake hands and have a
Yeah,
shot with this
he's
guy.
Joe Rogan and Geraldo together somehow, who died of a drug overdose. But yeah, he
Yeah.
can do them both,
He can do them both.
and that's why his career is soaring, because he never has to have downtime.
Yeah. No.
And you're a comfort guy, and you have self-esteem.
Yeah.
I have no self-esteem, and I'm fine in discomfort, and I still couldn't hang. Because
Yeah.
I was like, I'm built for this. I'm a weirdo who likes to drink and likes to party and can rally. And it was still impressive, and he blew me out of the water. And he's
Oh,
68
wow.
years old.
Yeah. He's on his insulin. He's doing all right.
he's in a rascal at 98,
Oh.
he'll be racing that rascal and drinking spiked prune juice and be racing the guys at Walmart and filming it.
Oh, he definitely will be. Yeah, he will be, and he's gonna be one of those guys that you're like, how's this guy alive now?
Yeah,
If he's gonna be in his 80s,
yeah,
you know,
yeah.
you'll be like, you're alive.
I know. I'm waiting for the selfie where he's pouring Tito's into the IV bag. And, taking his teeth out.
He'll be a fun old drunk guy.
You know what it is with Bert? Now, maybe I shouldn't say this because it's a little dicey, but he has no sex drive.
Right.
I've never seen him, like, he's like, oh, she's pretty or whatever.
Yeah.
He has no, like, I gotta fuck or
No.
I gotta go jerk off.
And also, usually alcohol fuels those.
Yes!
And it doesn't happen with him.
Not with him. He'll fuck a Big Mac up.
Yeah.
But he's never like, let's go to a strip club or a brothel.
No.
He has none of that, whereas other guys, that's a kind of a real crutch.
Yes.
And maybe that's the fuel he's using. He took the sex drive wire and plugged it into his, heart. And
Yeah.
he took it out of his dick, and plugged it into his heart, and it's pumping in there. I don't know what
That's
it is.
so true, because he's never, ever, ever trying to fuck. Like,
Yeah.
there's no such, like, he doesn't have any of that, like, the wandering eye.
Nothing. Nothing. We went to a strip club once, and we just made jokes, and I'd be like, I'm gonna go in the back room and get a lap dance from this that Samoan chick, and he was like, let's just hang out and talk, and I was like, all right, and that's him.
Yeah.
He doesn't have, and I know he's married with kids, but even if he was single, he wouldn't have it.
I don't think so. No, he definitely would be the type to get into a relationship,
Yep,
and that would be his lady. Yeah.
that's it. Maybe that's where he's getting it.
Yeah, maybe his T level is really low.
T level?
Testosterone.
Ah.
Maybe we should get him checked,
Yeah.
and then we get him on some tea, and then all of a sudden he's just fucking everything in the world. His wife would be so mad at me.
Oh, cool.
You did this with his TRT.
I thought Ari was bad. You gave him tea. At least Ari gave him Molly. That's the other thing. Ari's on Bert's on Molly. I was at the store with him, and he's just like, woo, let's drink, baby. Yeah, he's high-fiving everybody, watching a game. But there was no, like, oh, look at those tits. When you're on Molly, you want to touch stuff and finger yourself, but he had none of that.
It doesn't happen with him, man. It doesn't
Yeah.
happen. Yeah. I don't know. I don't understand how his kidneys work.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not that well versed in, medicine, but I feel like people that really pile on like he does, at a certain age, your kidneys start to go like, hey, man.
You think he told me he went to the hospital once for like a checkup or something, and they're like, yeah, your cholesterol's a little high, and I was like, oh, that's crazy. What else did they say? Like, that was it. I'm like, that's just red meat and shit.
Yeah.
What about the booze and the liver and the kidneys and your brain and all that? He's like, oh, I didn't bring it up. I'm like, that's all I want to know about, you fucking booze bag. Yeah, he's a special case, and thank God we have him in the comedy world. Like, thank God he's not just some accountant who doesn't know this about himself.
Yes.
He knew his path. He
We
found
talked
it.
about like what would be like if we didn't have comedy, what would we'd be doing?
Yeah.
And like he's like, I would be cleaning boats and Like, I would just he'd be a fun guy.
Yeah.
Flip flops every day.
Yeah.
Throw
Out
up
there,
beers.
catch it.
Oh yeah.
Shotgun.
Hey man, there's still some barnacles on this thing. Oh get it. And rub them off.
Right.
That would be him.
Yeah, it's crazy. There's probably a couple of these guys out there, this like Super Friends Justice League of crazy Mickey Mantle alcoholics, but he's at least showcasing it to the world.
Yes.
They're probably just, like you said, cleaning boats or, working at a strip club or something.
I would be a fucking miserable time, for sure.
Yeah.
So it wasn't, oh yeah. But all this rage wouldn't have a place to be channeled.
Yes.
You know?
Yes.
That's the healthy outlet, is getting on stage.
Right.
And getting things out and being able to say fuck this and talk shit.
Mhm.
That's a really good release for emotionally.
Same here. That's why the pandemic was tough.
Of course. Yeah.
We couldn't get it out, and we're just rotting away in our houses.
Yeah, it was the fucking worst, man. The worst. Like, 'cause I remember I went through periods with it where it was like, it was March, and I remember I had dates, and they were like, we're gonna move into April. I was like, okay. And then I was like, oh, cool, I have like a month. This is a nice vacation.
Yeah.
Then that month kind of ends, and you're like, what's up? And they're like, I think we're gonna move into May, because this doesn't seem to be like, I'm like, all right. And then like by May, I was like, yeah, I'm kind of antsy.
Oh, yeah.
You know?
And you hit your wife, and you're like, how do we get here?
And we're like, oh man, all your teeth are out now. So,
I'm with you. And that's why, and this is the point I forgot and I got it back somehow. The pandemic, comics kind of had to make a choice. Like, am I going to go all in on pods? Am I going to do videos? Am I going to
yes.
started a website or whatever the fuck, a web series and a sketch show or whatever, and a lot of them did jack shit and bitched the whole time or turned on each other or whatever it was, and not a lot leaned in and just said, hey, I'm going all in on this, whatever idea I have.
Yeah, dude, yes. And then you see the difference is when something happens, like the pandemic, something you could never, ever predict, or who takes action,
Yep.
and then who does the thing where they're just like, this just sucks.
This
You're like,
sucks.
Yeah, we all think it sucks.
Of course.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna go crazy, and I'm sick of watching, fucking Sherlock Holmes on BBC or whatever the fuck
Yeah.
it is, and you gotta just go into something and put your energy into something. I bought a piano.
Yeah.
I made all these wacky videos around New York,
You
and
play piano?
I suck. I play
I
like.
started taking lessons a month and a half ago.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
Me too.
Really?
Well, I'm doing it my own lessons, which is a bad idea because I'm just basically playing Guitar Hero. I
Yeah.
put my phone up to it and it has
Sure.
like the YouTube
Yeah.
and it says BC and I'm doing that, but it's something.
It's something. Definitely a healthy. Like I really dig it.
Yeah, me
So
too.
there was the parent teacher was teaching my kids, and then one day I was like, "Hey, do you teach adults?" He was like, "Yeah."
Retarded ones. Yeah.
Like yourself.
Yeah.
And I go, "Oh, I want a lesson."
Yeah.
And then I remember going like, "Oh, it's just gonna be like C major, E flat. Like it's gonna be like." I was like, "I'll just, I'll do it just to."
It does suck initially. You gotta get to the hump.
She actually was like, "Oh, just send me what you want to play. We'll just work on that." And
Mm.
I was like, "Oh." I started sending her stuff, and I go, "I want to play this. I want to play that." And then she would show up, and we would just work on those. And then as we're working on them, she was like, "Oh, you should know that like it's C, D, E, like
Yeah.
basic." So, but the more the focus was on the music I wanted to play, which is like more enjoyable.
Of course.
So then, yeah, I don't know.
That's fucking hilarious that you're like, you see the kids, you got it for the kids before you.
Yeah.
Like, eventually you're doing homework and you're like, I should learn math.
Yeah. Plus, you walk by them and you're like, they fucking suck.
Yeah.
Like, he's 5 years old and
Right.
barely knows how to hit these keys. Like, let me try it.
Yeah, good for you. And as a human being, we have that initial like, this is discomfort.
Yeah.
I want to quit. I hate it.
Yeah.
And that if you can get past that, I think that's like the key to everything in life.
To everything.
Everything.
And discomfort always equals growth, and you gotta stay uncomfortable.
Yes.
Sometimes
Exactly.
you have to force discomfort on yourself.
Yes.
Like one of the only constant discomforts you can have, I think, like especially if you're living comfortably, is like exercise.
Yeah.
Right? Because you can be like, you can have a great bed and a great house, and you're like everything's nice, but like you go to do exercise and you push it to like a feeling of discomfort. Just that feeling of like at least I have a moment of true discomfort
Yes.
in this day is good for you.
That's so key. I mean, you heard like Wim Hof and all these psychos talk about like jumping in an ice bath right when you wake up and all
Yeah.
that, and people go, well, what's the benefit? Is it health? And he's like, just because you did something shitty immediately, and now the rest of your day is
Yeah.
better and fulfilling or whatever it is, but nobody does it because they're like, what are the results? Can I make money? Does
Yeah.
it make me taller? Like, no, it's just mental shit.
Mental shit.
And it's discomfort and getting out of discomfort, and your life goes up 20% happiness.
Yeah.
Everybody's trying to get shit like, all right, if I eat at McDonald's, I'll feel happy right now. But you're like, that's gonna fuck you up. You gotta do something you don't want to do, and
Yeah.
it's so hard for people to grasp that.
It's so true, man. I feel like this year, like, is such a focus on mental health and like just health overall.
Yeah.
Like I've been eating clean and exercising a lot, and the whole time I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot that this makes me feel better.
Yes.
Like eating the egg whites and the chicken and the broccolini and stuff. Like even though I wasn't always eating like that, every time I eat it, I'm like, yeah, but I feel better.
There you go.
I feel true. I feel happier.
Yeah, and maybe it's not as flavorful at the time, but hey, this is gonna be better in an hour.
Yeah.
And people can't see that hour.
Yeah, that's
They
true.
go, no, I want the fucking, double down.
Everything's now.
Everything's now, but like, I mean, think back to when you were 21. That was 10 minutes ago.
Right.
Like your kids, like I'm a big cunt about kids. I'm like, kids, I don't know, the crying, the shitting, the diaper, the whole thing. And I'm like, yeah, but you're going to snap and that's going to be over. And then they're going to be, wrestling with you. And then you're throwing a football.
It's
and then
true.
before you know it, they're in college.
It goes quick, man. Like both these guys were, it was like babies yesterday, and like were 5 and almost 3, and like you're having full conversations with them, and you realize that the 5-year-old, he's a little dude.
Yeah.
Like, you don't have to. He goes to the bathroom by himself. You know what I mean? Like it happens fast, man.
Damn.
Yeah.
And now you probably, like Bill Burr always says, I can't believe I didn't do do this earlier. I was scared, and it's like the coolest thing, and you've never loved something like this, blah blah
Yeah,
blah.
it's rad, and they're like,
Really?
it's really cool. Yeah, I
Okay.
mean, I don't do the thing where you're not honest about it.
Sure,
It's,
please.
it's super. There's a lot of stress. I remember when Christina was pregnant with our first Ellis, who's 5. I remember that there's this thing because she pointed out, she was like, you flipped the switch
Oh yeah.
where you went into like yo. I always had a good work ethic, but she was like, you went like crazy with work because you start going like active support.
Yes.
You know, be able to pay for this kid.
Interesting.
So that kind of like a flip kind of does switch on you. And there's there's a lot of stressful moments and like when they're babies, you've never had a baby.
Yeah.
Like, they're crying and crying and the sleep deprivation.
Ah, nightmare.
That's the worst, right?
Yeah.
But like I don't know, getting over that. I do think that the upside far outweighs.
Okay,
You know.
that helps.
Yeah.
And talk about discomfort, and talk about a new challenge, and talk about
All that.
satisfying. Making a good podcast is one thing. Imagine making a good human.
A good human, yeah. And it's really cool. Like you see your kid develop a personality, and like you do feel pride. Like when you're out and my son's like introducing himself to people.
Oh,
It just kills you.
Anyone else hard?
Yeah.
Oh, these kids.
They're so.
But that's
they're
what
so adorable.
that's so nice to hear you say because all we talk about is like we gotta leave a good planet for our kids. Like, hey, how about we leave some good kids for the planet?
Yeah.
Your kids fucking suck. And
Yeah.
I'm talking to you, Dickless. You got shitty, snot-nosed, annoying, unpolite kids.
Yeah.
Stop it.
Dude,
You suck. They don't realize they suck, and then they're making little them.
Dude, they do, and you realize that like a lot of people are checked out.
Oh
parents.
yeah.
I actually was like proud that this guy said this to me. I took my son to get a tennis lesson, and
Jesus, they killed the fucking activity.
I know, but you gotta keep. I mean, they're just energy ball. Like he wakes up and runs down. Like my alarm is him running down the hall.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
he comes in, he's like, "Good morning," and you're like, "Jesus Christ, dude."
Is he gay?
I
Good
mean,
morning.
it's fucking 5:30. Come back in an hour, bro.
Oh.
Like he's But
Brutal.
he shot out of a cannon, ready to go. So we're always trying to burn his energy off. We took him this tennis lesson, and he was fucking around, And I was doing a lesson on the other court. So I see him, and I see him like not doing, and I yell.
Oh, good.
So I go, "Hey, you're not gonna fucking pay attention. We're gonna leave here right now. So
Yeah.
pay attention." And I had to do it like 2 more times. But afterwards, the whole thing was that the next time I had a lesson was by myself. The coach goes, "Hey, I just want to let you know, like you're one of like 2 parents that does that.
Oh, good.
Like everybody else will just see that happening, and they don't care."
Wow.
They're like, we talked about how it's nice to have a parent, make his kid
Yes.
pay attention.
Right.
Because he goes, a lot of them, they don't give a shit. They just let it happen. And I was like, oh yeah, that makes me crazy.
Good for you.
We are supported by Miller Lite. We've all found ourselves in awkward, uncomfortable, forced social occasions. We just can't be ourselves. It's part of life. I have this like when I meet you, somebody that comes to the show or something, and I'm like, oh God, I really wish I had a Miller Lite in my hand right now, and I could pretend that I'm enjoying this. That's what grabbing beers is for. And the best beer for grabbing beers is Miller Lite. With great taste, only 96 calories, Miller Lite is the one beer that lets you kick back with your friends and just be. It's Miller time. Celebrate responsibly. Miller Brewing Company, Milwaukee, Wisconsin. 96 calories and 2.2 carbs per 12 ounces.
It's weird when you see that guy at the gym with the loud music on his boombox thing, and you're like, we don't want to hear that.
How are you oblivious?
Yeah. And that's all. I'm just lifting weights, going like, how can this guy? Because you hate the guy, but you're also kind of like, man, it must be a nice life.
Yeah.
To just do what you want all the time and not feel that weird remorse or.
I think society has like a 50-50 split.
Yeah.
Did you ever do that thing where I remember one time I landed on a flight and the guy like 2 rows over started like on his phone. He's like, "Yeah, so we just landed here," and like real loud. And without saying anything, I look at another passenger.
Yeah.
And we just look at each other at the same time, but shake our head.
That's good.
And I'm like, "Oh, we speak the same language."
Right.
But this is super annoying.
Right.
And how is this guy just oblivious that no one wants to hear his fucking phone calls?
And what's interesting is a lot of times I'll have that moment too, and I notice the 2 people having that moment that you're having are in first class, and this guy's in the back, and you go, maybe there's something to being successful and living a good life when you actually think about other people's feelings. You fucking twat.
Yeah. Well, we were in first class.
Aha! You see? And then they go, rich people are evil. And they're like, nah, we just worked hard and have a brain and we're not fucking selfish
Yeah.
douches.
I mean, yeah. It also makes me crazy. You know, I always think about that. Like you're in a restaurant and your kid takes a spoon.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
starts doing this. I'd be like, hey man, like no one wants to do that shit.
Right.
You know. I want to hear it at home.
Yes.
Let alone when I'm out.
Right. I'll do you one better. When I was a kid, you would yell. Your parents would yell at other kids,
Yeah.
and that you don't see anymore.
That doesn't
You
happen.
talk to my son that way,
Yeah.
whatever. You're like, well, he was, pissing on the laundry
Yeah.
or whatever. Like, so we had to do something.
Sure.
So that was good too. I got hit by a friend's mom.
Really?
Yeah, and I totally deserved it, and I changed.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Yeah. It doesn't happen anymore.
No. Well, you know what else is weird too, especially with white people, is like, we have kids so much later who are like,
Yes.
hey, I want to have a fucking life. Fuck you, rugrat, and so
Yeah.
you have a kid when you're 41 or
Yeah.
39 or whatever, when, biologically you're kind of supposed to have a kid at 24 or whatever.
Sure.
And so there's a lot of like older parents now who are like doing their thing, and then the kid's doing his thing, and he's just staring at a screen, and they never got the parent doesn't have as much energy to discipline.
Yeah, I mean, I completely would understand that. I think it's like just mind blowing when you hear about like 60-year-olds
I know.
having a kid. You're like, how are you going to be involved at all in this?
I know.
It's so nuts.
DMX had 15 kids.
It, that's so crazy.
That's crazy.
But you also hear about like so and so is going to be a father. And you're like, this guy's in his 60s.
I know. Mick Jagger just had a kid. He's like 900 years old. And it's crazy how people do this. But hey,
I'm sure he'll be really involved.
yeah, he'll be involved financially. Like,
Yeah.
here you go,
Here's
put
a-
money in it.
Yeah, here's a check.
Yeah.
That's cool.
All right, you talked me into it, but I'm gonna do the kid thing.
Nice, man.
Yeah.
You gotta pick a lady. Oh, you have a lady.
I got a hot lady at home, and she's got ample bosom to feed.
How long you guys been together?
5 years?
Oh, that's a good long while.
Oh, is it?
I mean, yeah,
Oh,
5 years
God.
is a good. That's not like
Don't say that. Now she's like, I told you.
No. I mean, like that's a real relationship. I'm saying.
Yes,
It's,
yes.
It's not like 5 months. or
No, for sure.
something. 5 years is a real thing.
And pushing 40 here, Patty. So it's
Yeah.
getting down the wire.
Get her on it, man.
Yeah. She's ready.
She's ready.
Yeah.
Dump your clip and just see what happens. Man.
Isn't it weird that anybody would procreate with us?
No.
It's mind-boggling. I mean, you're at least successful and somewhat normal. You seem normal for a comedian, I must say.
Yeah. I mean.
You'll probably strangle a dog in an alleyway at some
Yeah.
point, but you seem well-adjusted.
Yeah.
Oh, shit, am I missing something?
No.
Did you run over a kid last week?
I think I have normal attributes. I think just like a lot of people, you have layers to your personality. So
Yeah.
I definitely know how to act.
You do?
Yeah, and I know how to behave. And then I have like craziness within me too that I try to channel into like what we do. You know what I mean? So
Yeah, like Bert with the sex, pumping it in, you pumping the anger somewhere else.
so yeah, I try to. I mean, sometimes it comes out.
Uh-oh. Have you killed like a Jewish kid or something?
That's why I keep hiring him. It's like a guilt thing,
And they don't fight back.
Yeah.
But we've learned from history.
Yeah.
But yeah, maybe financially you guys will fight back.
Like I definitely couldn't do the drink thing because I know what
Oh yeah.
Like I don't.
You'll have a Mel Gibson moment.
What I do, I start talk. I'm not angry drunk. I talk a lot of shit though.
Oh yeah.
Like I'm a real
Same.
shit talker. Like and I'll get.
We got microphones all
Yeah,
over
yeah.
us.
Yeah. So I definitely feel like I do that like once a year. Once a
Oh,
year.
yeah?
I mean, I'll have a drink, a glass of wine with dinner, whatever. But like where I really tie one on,
Mhm.
it's like once a year.
Damn.
And I try to do it with like people close to me.
Yeah, yeah.
Hey man, protect me.
Yeah.
Like don't let me do anything crazy.
I know.
Because if I did it like Bert does, for sure I would be dead or in jail. Like for sure.
Oh yeah, no doubt about it.
Yeah.
I mean, do you ever have that thing? I mean, we're kind of the same age, and I should be dead. Just from high school and
Oh.
college, like the drinking, driving, the falling asleep while driving, the
Yeah.
waking up in these places. I woke up on the sidewalk once. I mean, yeah, like I should be dead or at least like beat up a lot more.
Dude.
But one time I went to a bar and my friend said it looked like a Marx Brothers movie. Like I was on the table, then I grabbed the fire extinguisher and shot everybody and all this shit. But the craziest thing, my friends were fucking mooks, like animals,
Yeah.
football playing, like white guys from the South who wore shorts and tucked their button down in and wore loafers, but fucking went nuts.
Yeah.
And I went out with my friends. We got drunk, whatever. I don't remember anything. I was with my girlfriend at the time. They had to drag me up to my porch at my home, and she's helping, and it's like a Tuesday,
Yeah.
school night. And then, as a goof, she's trying to get me in the house quietly because my parents are sleeping. And as a goof, they go, "Hey, Norman!" And my girlfriend looks back, and they shoot us both with paintballs and just like light up the house and light me. I'm like, I don't remember any of this. But she told me.
So bad.
I don't remember a thing. I didn't wake up. I was blacked out through the whole thing. The house is, the whole thing's yellow.
Oh my god.
And they're like, ah! They peel off in their fucking jacked up truck. And then my dad comes out, and he was a military guy, much like your own. He's like,
Yeah.
what the fuck? He's having flashbacks. He's
Yeah.
flipping out. So he comes out, and he sees me laying there, covered in yellow paint, and my girlfriend crying. And he's like, what the fuck's going on? So he picks us both up. He throws me in the hallway of the house. He's like, you, upstairs, now. And she's crying. She runs upstairs. And he picks me up and spanks me in the living room. He wasn't a hitter, but he just didn't know what to do. He was like having a meltdown. Spanks me on my ass. I start laughing, and my girlfriend's watching through the railing of the banister of the stairs, and I'm like, my dad's spanking me.
Yeah.
And so he like lays me down on the living room floor, and then he goes, "You get down here," to her, and he's like, "What's wrong with him? Why does he drink so much? Is he depressed?" And she's like, "I don't know." And then the next day, he wakes me up at like 7. I'm like, I can't move. Throws me in the shower with my clothes on. Turns it on. He goes, "You're going to alcohol therapy or whatever it is." And I was like, what? And he drove me to this lady who like was a doctor and I don't know, had to ask me questions, but I still had some yellow here and
Yeah.
shit. And yeah, it was a wild night apparently.
That's pretty wild. I mean,
Yeah.
what came of that session or that meeting? Did he follow up like, hey, what did she tell you, or like?
No, I mean he was just pissed. He's like, "You're getting a job, you're going to military school, all this shit."
Oh, how old were you when that happened?
I don't know, 16, 17.
Wow, okay.
Yeah, so it was right at the cusp of like you're moving out soon, getting to college maybe. So that was pretty rough, and that was just a random night.
Yeah.
We did that kind of shit all the time.
Because I remember you just reminded me of when I first got out here. Like, I was an intern at a entertainment company, a place that made movies. So studios would work with them to make movies.
Yeah. Well, what year, what age are we
So
talking?
I am 23.
Okay.
And you're a free intern, by the way, unpaid.
Yeah.
It's using you to read scripts and make notes. One night, some of the other interns and assistants, these are like assistants for like high-level executives, like, we're going to go out to this place in the Sunset. So I started somewhere else with a plan. I end up there, and I am just knocking around, drinking.
Yeah.
So at one point, I haven't started stand-up, but like, you have like a little bit of that in you.
Yes, of course.
So we're all at this place called Miyagi's, which is a big like sushi but like party place on Sunset, and we're basically standing in a circle, like this table, and I'm holding court, like telling a story or something.
Yeah.
How I'm hammered, and
By the way, you probably think you're killing, but you're
Yeah.
probably like, this fucking guy.
yeah,
is a nightmare.
this guy, and then they're about to think it a lot more.
Yeah.
Because as I'm talking, and they had to like tell me this, and like parts, sometimes parts of the memory come back to you. You're like, oh yeah. But one of the guys who I was close with at work, if you're telling the story, you vomit,
Oh
and
man.
he goes, you vomit, and like an incredible amount,
Yeah.
and you're doing that thing where when you're done vomiting and you're like
Yeah.
sitting, and he's like, we're inside a nice restaurant
Yeah.
bar, and he goes, you spit like a couple of times. And he goes, then you stood up and you went right back to your story.
Oh.
Like, and everybody's like,
Yeah.
And then,
And you're the intern, by the
I'm an
way.
intern. And then like I come in on Monday and I'm like, what's up, guys? People are like, what do you mean by that? You're a fucking psycho.
Yeah. Wow, I can't believe they didn't throw you out.
I know. I mean, I ended up getting carried from him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
See, that's the thing about Bert. I'm waiting for that moment.
I know.
I'm waiting for him to just be on a podcast and you look down and his khakis are getting wetter. And you're like, your fit's like, there it is.
He's like, I just don't know when I go.
Yeah.
I don't know. It just comes out.
I know. God damn. I mean, also, we're lucky that was never no cell phone camera. That could have been a TikTok. Any moment of that could have been a TikTok. You getting dragged out, you puking, you spitting. Thank God there was no TMZ. Segura has lost it. You know?
Oh yeah. You know what someone just sent me, by the way? I started to sweat watching it.
Oh God.
They sent me a set that I did
Oh.
like 2 years into stand-up.
Yeah.
A friend of mine, I was like, what? He was like, yeah, I recorded this. And I could not watch it. I
Well,
started to watch it, I was like started to
and
sweat.
can I say about you? You're one of the rare cases. Like usually, you watch a guy's 15-year-old set, and you're like, man, you were so young and thin. You look like hell back then, and you look great now.
Thanks, man.
You went the other way.
The other way, yeah.
Yeah, you were like a big guy.
It's
with
the
weird
only
facial hair.
it's the only advantage to like not giving a fuck about yourself when you're young. It's like I also see friends from high school and like they look like shit now.
Yes.
Right? And then I look better than I did in high school.
Exactly.
And they're like, oh, what happened? I'm like, I don't know. That's when you neglect yourself when you're young.
Yeah.
You can improve later in life.
I look at sometimes all because I'm a big stand-up nerd. I watch everything.
Yeah.
So I watch your old stuff, and I'm like, you can just look at you and go, he'll never make it.
Yeah.
He's so unappealing
Yeah.
looking that he's fucked. Like you look like a guy who liked wings and tits. That was like your look.
Yeah.
You know, it kind of had a Vegas-y. There was a
Yeah.
shiny shirt involved, and
Yeah.
your hair was pointy
Yeah.
down.
Yeah, and you're like,
And-
this guy's a fucking mess.
Yeah, like you like I would never hang out with this guy. He's going nowhere. You look like you had flames on your car.
Probably.
You know.
Let's see.
Give me a real on stage, like a real.
pretty bad.
Oh, that's rough.
That's bad.
There, look at the gold chain, the chest hair. I mean, this guy works at a
Yeah.
place called Diamonds.
Yeah.
And it's a strip club.
It shouldn't
on
happen.
On the
Keep
outskirts
scrolling.
of
Let's see
town.
what else we got here.
Oh, this
That's
is.
what. Oh, look how big I am right there.
Yeah, but that's kind of a sitcom.
Yeah, that is a
picture.
sitcom look.
I'm talking, those shiny black shirts and the fun hair.
Yeah.
Gold
Jesus.
chain, man. Oh, there's a guy. Come on.
You think I like to tell him holding the mic like him?
And then look at that one on Conan. You're like this distinguished dude
I
with
know.
the suit, the gray. You look cool as shit. Like that looks like a guy who sells a badass tequila.
Yeah. That is the guy who sells the
Oh, there he is. Look at that one with the green button down there.
Yeah.
Come on.
We got Ben Gleed.
Oh yeah, but you were still getting
Yeah.
laid.
Christina with the bangs. She got the bangs.
Yeah.
Look, that's me when I first got to LA on the right. On the, this one. The other one. To the right. That's me when I first
Well,
got to
hey,
LA.
well that guy's a smoke show.
That's how I got laid at 22.
What happened?
I just fucking neglected myself.
Yeah, I guess so. Because the one next to it, it's like a before and after,
I know.
or a like
Oh, that's
reviews.
that's like, I started doing stand up, and I don't know what's gonna happen with my life. This is scary.
Yeah. You know, right.
Yeah.
But you got good bones. No
Yeah.
pun intended. Like you're like a house that it was falling apart, but you can see
When
there's
you
good
reduce
there.
all the fat, the bone structure's not that bad.
Not bad, and the eyeballs are gorgeous. Yeah, you're solid.
Yeah.
And as a guy, my hair is thinning, so I let it grow out just to cover.
Dude, do stuff now. This is
Yeah.
what you gotta act now.
But what do I do? I mean, I'm on Propecia.
Okay, at least you're doing that. You're
That's
doing
not
something.
enough, I don't think.
I don't know. I don't know the thing to do. I just know that like, I almost want to fucking punch the guy that was cutting my hair.
Mm.
Because I remember when it started, like I had hair.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I stuck it at then. He was like, hey, you know,
Ah,
you're good.
no, fuck that.
And I'm like, really? He's like, nah, man. Like, he was doing it to be like polite.
Right, right.
And then like a year goes by, and now this is my. It's either this or like a transplant, you know.
Yeah.
yeah,
You don't
so-
do trans.
So I don't want to be trans. So I am having bottom surgery soon. But no, it's like now I'm lucky that I have this shaped head.
Yeah,
And I
go
don't have
ahead.
a fucked up like occipital plate.
Right.
But like, yeah, I can just do the buzz. But this is my option.
But I mean, it
Yeah.
works. It
Yeah.
works well, and it's a good head.
But
And
you got nice hair, man.
well, thank you. It's going though. In 10 years, I'm gonna look pretty rough.
Well, this is the time.
This is
This is time to reach out to options. Find out what your options are.
keeps and hymns, and there's all kinds of shit now.
Yeah, there's all kinds of stuff, but like what they all say is like, as you notice it going, you have to do something. If you go like, I'm bald now, they're like, well, yeah.
Fuck.
Yeah.
Isn't it weird? We can't fix this though. Like, we got everything.
It's gonna be like when we're 60. We're gonna be
I
like,
know.
oh, just take one pill.
I know we can freeze eggs, ladies.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got nothing to the hair.
For the fucking hair, man.
But I think there's all these stats though that say like baldness, bald, shaved head is sexy, blah blah blah.
It's all, it's all like people tell me, I get messages, oh, the beard, I love the beard, and the next person is like, why don't you shave your stupid
I
beard?
know.
You're like, I don't know.
I know. People, they're hard to please.
They're hard to please.
That's why you get married, you lock it down, you move on.
Mark Norman, soon to be a father.
Watch me just shoot blanks now after all this.
All this time.
Yeah.
Couple things you gotta check out. You gotta check out Out to Lunch, this special on YouTube. Millions of views. You're gonna watch it if you haven't. Tuesdays with Stories with Joe List. We Might Be Drunk with Sam Morril. Super funny guys, and I'm sure the podcasts are great. You do them each every week, both a week?
Yeah, weekly. Tuesday and Sunday they come out. People are digging it.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. Thank you for coming today.
Hey,
It's a lot
thanks
of
for
fun.
having me. This is an honor. I'm a fan.
Yeah, well, me too. And I'm so glad Bert's coming. All right.
Yeah.
See you next time.
After all this.
Thanks for watching. Bye.
Boss, and perhaps the most upsetting reveal in Loki episode 1 was that Loki's glorious purpose of the Infinity Stones was only worth its weight in paperweight. The Infinity Stones weren't just Loki's obsession, they were the crucial namesake of Marvel's entire Infinity Saga. Sought after by Thanos, the Avengers, Guardians of the Galaxy, Asgardians, and Sorcerers. Black Widow died and risked making her long-awaited solo film less relevant to get one of these paperweights. So did Iron Man and Thanos, Black Widow, Gamora, Vision, Sacred Timeline, Loki, Heimdall, and Luke's arm really die for nothing? If the TVA has a drawer full of duplicate Infinity Stones sliding around loose with the silverware? No! I am here to tell you that these stones weren't just to rattle Loki's pride, and certainly not to make a joke out of the Infinity Saga, but as key symbols explaining how the TVA operates in relationship with the rest of the MCU. The first episode of Loki does such a good job reverting Loki's character development to that villainous pride and ambition that defined him back in the first Avengers film. Like, notice how immediately after scooping the Avengers and escaping to Mongolia, the first thing he does is to try to assert dominance to these random villagers.
I am Loki, the master, and I am burdened with glorious purpose.
These same words this guy had just uttered to Nick Fury when he arrived to steal the Tesseract.
I am Loki, the master, and I am burdened with glorious purpose.
But by the end of this episode, that pride is shattered when Loki scrambles to retrieve the Tesseract, only to realize that in the TVA, Infinity Stones are a dime a dozen.
Oh, did you get live ones? Yeah, so the guys using those paperweights. Oh,
Notice how Loki briefly palms a time stone, perhaps the stone he was most eager to acquire someday. Remember that. And then Loki moves.
is this the greatest power in the universe?
And then B-15 rushes in and erases all of these stones inside Casey's evidence card as Loki gives up his glorious purpose, but not out of respect of the TVA's illogical laws, but really out of acceptance that the Infinity Stones are not the key to his glorious future that he thought they would be.
Even an infinity stone is useless here. TVA is formidable.
But before we continue, thanks to Keeps for sponsoring this video. Losing your hair can be a bummer. 2 out of 3 guys will experience some form of nail pattern baldness by the time they're 35. I know guys in my life that are really stressed out about it, but with Keeps, it's easier and more. So as Loki asks, how did the TVA get these duplicate Infinity Stones? By Casey saying we get a lot of these, I think he's saying they confiscated these from past 18 variants. Like, notice how the other items in the drawer include a French Medal of Honor and the most valuable baseball card in the world, and U-92 theorized that the Oklahoma exhibit was someone trying to get rich off oil. So really, I think the idea is that Infinity Stones are just one of many treasures that others before Loki have skewed from their sacred timeline to try to obtain. Now, before, the Ancient Ones seemed to indicate that only Infinity Stone removal could create a branch timeline, but now, according to its minutes, something as simple as checking in late to work could create a next event, which sounds nuts. And based on Rich Prick Martin, it sounds like individuals making the wrong choice happens all the time with all kinds of people. Each time it happens, the timekeepers sound the alarm, the TVA swoops in, they detain the variant, they prune the branch, and they erase that variant. But I think that also means they keep whatever loot that variant was after. And after doing this countless times, duplicate Infinity Stones have piled up. But how can multiple Infinity Stones exist in the same time and space? Like by the look of it, it looks like we have 5 reality stones in there. Well, according to everything we had been told about the Infinity Stones, they seem to be these sacred constants that embodied elemental aspects of the universe: power, space, reality, soul, time, and mind. Together, they maintain the proper flow of time. So much so that the endgame directors had to clarify that when Thanos used the stones to destroy the stones were in fact atomized, so that their presence still exists in the universe, just incapable of being weaponized. So that also means that when the Avengers returned from the time heist with those stolen Infinity Stones in the present, those stones were duplicates existing simultaneously in the present MCU with the atomized stone mist after Thanos' garden snap. So by that rule, multiple stone variants can coexist in a single place in time, so long as, before too long, those variants are returned. So, does that make the Infinity Stones worthless in the TVA? Yes, but outside the TVA, hell no. Because the TVA exists outside the sacred timeline. It's in the null time zone. The end credits actually suggest it could be in some in-between space between some of the 9 realms. Everything the TVA detains and brings inside the TVA are variants of a prime equivalent in the sacred timeline, which goes on undisturbed. So when the TVA arrested Loki variant L1130, there still existed the original prime Loki in the sacred timeline, who went back with Thor to Asgard and went through the events of the Dark World, the Ragnarok and Infinity War. But the moment this Loki picked up the Tesseract, he spawned a variant timeline, a variant Loki, a variant Tesseract. That didn't steal the Tesseract or steal the Loki out of the sacred timeline, those are still there. So when a variant Infinity Stones branch is pruned, the variant stone loses its power, its flow fades a bit. But when the Avengers stole variant stones from the past, those stones kept their power because those branches had not yet been pruned by Cap. Meanwhile, each of the stones here in the drawer were variant duds from other previously pruned branches. But despite these being duds, those 6 prime Infinity Stones remain in the sacred timeline, fully powered, waiting to be found and used by the Avengers and Thanos in the history we've seen, and then inevitably atomized by Thanos in the sacred timeline. So all of the sacrifices made by the Avengers, made by Thanos, are still every bit as meaningful. And the effects those stone uses left on the world, still every bit as consequential. When Loki bemoans even an Infinity Stone is useless here, he's really using the stone as a metaphor for his own uselessness. What Mobius is trying to get at is, this TVA confined powerlessness doesn't erase the other Loki in the sacred timeline. The reason why he makes Loki watch his favorite highlights is because there are lessons to be learned from that story. So the history of the Infinity Saga is not being erased by Loki, it's informing this next step. In the way that the TVA has to find a new purpose for variant Infinity Stones, be it paperweights or lining fish tanks, despite not knowing what fish are, so too must variant Loki find a new glorious purpose. Meanwhile, let's remember Casey's words there.
Yeah, so the guys use them as paperweights. Some of them.
And he's not just making a joke there. The end credits show a Mind Stone being used as a paperweight. So that also makes us wonder what he meant by some of them. Did someone else go rogue and use a variant Infinity Stone for some other purpose in the past? Theoretically, if you could track down one of these variant stones' source branch, and if that branch either wasn't fully pruned or if it were able to get reformed, that stone might reactivate if taken back to that branch. So let's keep in mind Loki fiddling with that time stone there. Now it sounded like it clunked back down in the drawer, but he might have slightly pocketed it before B-15 erased that cart the way he pocketed Mobius's time twister so sneakily. That time stone might come in handy someday. Hey, you can support this channel by checking out our new Loki-inspired merch options, like the shirt Loki at a Time, by going to newrockstarsmerch.com. Follow me on Instagram and Twitter at EABoss. Follow New Rockstars and subscribe to New Rockstars for Loki breakdowns. Thanks for watching. Bye.
may take up quite a bit of time at the beginning of this video. I have one. I have a good hot and juicy ant fact for you right here. But I'll leave the chapters and you can skip to it if you want to at the very end of the video if you just like need your ant fact. But otherwise, I think we should just get into the main topic of today's video, which is of course, will Yamato become the next member of the Straw Hat Crew? Which was apparently stated in the last chapter, and I did not even mention it in the review. So that takes a little bit of explanation. First off, spoilers for chapter 1016 of One Piece, if you haven't read it yet. So I did read that line. It wasn't like I missed it when I first read it, but my reaction to that was very clearly a little different from everyone else's reaction, because holy crap, everybody's losing it. Like, Yamato's gonna join the Straw Hats. That's awesome. I'm like, hey, I want Yamato to join the Straw Hats. That would be awesome. But the way I read that line was like, okay, Yamato's squaring off against Kaido on the roof. Kaido's a giant dragon. Like, you know, Woro, Yamato, you should just submit and become the Shogun of Wano like you were always meant to be. And then Yamato's like, no, father, after we're done driving you out of Onigashima and Wano, I will go out to sea with Luffy's crew. And, you know, everyone was like losing it over that. Now, the way I took that was like, yeah, that makes sense. Yamato has said that before. Yamato wants to go out to sea with Luffy and just get away from Wano in general, like Kozuki Oden did. So I'm like, yeah, that makes sense for Yamato's character. Okay, cool. I think it's because Yamato has said this before. This is not like the first time, like it came out of nowhere. Like Yamato's like, I'm gonna get out of here and I'm gonna join the Straw Hats. You know, that was like something Yamato said directly to Luffy. I think back in like, I don't know, it was probably like the early 990 chapters or maybe the 980s, right when Yamato first was introduced and met Luffy and they were still running around the tower and Yamato still had the handcuffs on and everything. Yamato directly said to Luffy like, hey, you know, because of Ace and everything, I knew your brother. Will you take me out to sea? Will I, you know, will you be able to like take me on a boat and leave Wano? And Luffy didn't exactly give a yes or a no. They kind of got into an argument after that. But you know, Yamato already brought it up. And then there was also the flashback with Yamato and Ace, where I believe Yamato there also said, hey, I want to go out to sea. Now, obviously, that didn't work out because of a multitude of reasons, not the least of which being the handcuffs that were still on Yamato and everything like that. But this is not the first time Yamato has, you know, declared, you know, I want to get out of Wano, I want to leave. And it's not even the first time, you know, I want to leave with the Straw Hats. So I guess that's the reason I didn't freak out over it. I'm like, okay, this has already been said before, yeah. Now, it's also a pretty big difference between Yamato just declaring, I'm going to sail with the Straw Hat Crew, and then Luffy actually being like, will you become a member of my crew? That's a very different thing. But also, you got to remember how Nico Robin joined. Remember how Robin joined. That was a very different kind of style than all the other Straw Hats, where Luffy usually says, you know, hey, join my crew. You know, he said that to Zoro, he said that to Brook, he said that to Frankie. But the way Robin joined was just she was chilling out on the Mary after the Alabasta arc and just sitting there, you know, reading a book, drinking some coffee or whatever. And then she just says, hey, you destroyed the entire organization that I was a part of. And yeah, I don't have anywhere to go, so I guess I'm with you guys from now on. And you at least owe me that much. And Luffy was just like, yeah, that makes sense. Welcome aboard. You know, so Luffy, I don't think Luffy ever had the moment with like, you know, Nico Robin, join my crew, be my Nakama. No, the way Robin joined was kind of low key, and she's sort of the one that was like, hey, you destroyed where I like live and work, so I have to come with you. And Luffy's like, yeah, that makes sense. I didn't do that. All right, sure, welcome aboard. You know, so for that reason, I would love Yamato to join. That would be awesome, right? And for the fact of just Yamato being like, can I travel with you guys? And Luffy, I feel like he would accept that. I made a video where I went through like, what if Luffy accepted like every character from every arc in One Piece? You know, that was like a good 2-part video I did. And it brought up the question I had of like, hey, what happens if somebody directly asks Luffy to join the crew? Because like I said, most of the time, Luffy is the one that asks. Like Jinbei, for instance. It took a while. It took like 10 years from the moment that Luffy asked Jinbei to join to the moment where he's actually fighting alongside all of the Straw Hats at Wano. That took like almost a decade in and of itself. Hopefully that won't happen again if Yamato does join, right? So, yeah, that's the situation there. Like, so Yamato asked Luffy, not really so much asked, Yamato was just like, hey, Ace kind of made me this promise, or I made this promise with Ace, and he's gone now, so bye by extension, you're his brother, you'll take me out to sea, right? So Yamato very direct with it, and Luffy, like I said, didn't really give a yes or a no, kind of changed the subject into something else. But after everything has settled down, after everything is ended, and Kaido is driven out of Wano, and Big Mom is gone, and all of their peace pirates have been crushed, and Wano is beginning to rebuild, and we have the big epic banquet hall, the scene where all the samurai and the 9 Red Scabbards and the Straw Hats and the Heart Pirates and the Kid Pirates all get together for an awesome freaking banquet of meat and booze and all that stuff. And Yamato maybe asks Luffy again, maybe a little bit more politely this time, isn't just like, I'm gonna go out to sea with you. What time are we shipping out tomorrow, Luffy? Maybe it's just like, hey, can I actually join your crew now? And I think Luffy, I don't see any reason why Luffy would say no to that, considering also if Yamato right now is, going to fight against Kaido, which, well, that's already started, we already saw the clash. Not a question of that, but it's a question of maybe Luffy's going to come back up to Onigashima and maybe fight alongside Yamato for a little while. Might not be the entirety of the fight. Luffy might still get that final blow, as I've stated multiple times. But it might be a thing where, like, Yamato's, like, right about to be defeated, and then Luffy shows up, and then Luffy and Yamato maybe do some really cool combination attack or something, and then boom! They send Kaido reeling, and he's like, whoa, no! And then Yamato maybe passes out, like, that's all I have. Luffy, finish my father off, bam! And then that's when Luffy's like, I will, Yamato, Gear 4, King, 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 Cobra Kong gun! Something along those lines. And maybe what I mean by that is if like Luffy and Yamato fought Kaido together for even only a brief amount of time, Luffy would see the strength and dedication and resolve in Yamato, and Luffy would be like, actually this would be a moment, maybe right before Yamato like loses consciousness from Kaido's attack or something, Luffy says, hey, Yamato, you can join my crew if you. And then Yamato like passes out, so can't hear the whole thing, but just like Luffy, I did my best. You can join my crew if you want. And then that's when Luffy defeats Kaido, and that would be a cool moment, something like that. But yeah, we are moving on to the final saga of One Piece here. Of course, I want Carrot to join as well. But hey, you know what? We can have both. Carrot, come on, be the lookout of the crew, and then Yamato also join and be, I don't know, what position? I think so there's quartermaster. There's like a standard position aboard a ship, like a pirate ship that like historically there was a quartermaster. There's nobody like quartermaster is a position that really hasn't been overtly stated in One Piece. It's kind of a position that's taken up by like other characters and with their jobs. Like Nami is basically the quartermaster of the Straw Hat crew, even though she's the navigator, right? So yeah, Jinbei's the helmsman, of course. Carrot would make an awesome lookout because she's a bunny. She can jump on top of the mast and look out to see things. Yeah, that's a job, all right. And then Yamato can just be a combatant, can just be a fighter, right? I mean, the same thing with Zoro. Zoro is pretty much the first mate of the crew, but he's also a fighter. That along that line. There's a lot of other crews out there that have a much larger number of people on board their ships, and they just have like just a group that are just like these are the fighters of the ship. So yeah, Yamato, that'd be pretty sweet. I think still I want to go with my idea of also by the end of the story of there basically being this new alliance between Luffy, who will become the Kaito Oni or Orochimaru. He'll become king of the pirates by the end of the story. But then Big Mom will get dethroned from power, same as Kaido. So it'll be Katakuri and Yamato, which will make an alliance with Luffy or something. I just picture that in my head as this very symbolic thing of like, okay, before the Yonko were all at odds with each other, and you know what? Honestly, the funny thing is, if the Yonko all worked together in unison, they would be able to take down the world government. I mean, just two of them working in an alliance is enough to make the freaking government shit their pants, basically, with like just Big Mom and Kaido. But if all of the Yonko, or even just 2 or 3 of the Yonko, had a common goal to come together, they could have devastated the world government. They could have, freed all the slaves at Marijua. Like, they have that power to do that. It's just that, except for Big Mom and Kaido right now, they cannot form an alliance. Like, there's no way Shanks would ever form an alliance with Blackbeard. And even with Kaido and Big Mom's alliance right now, I think that's kind of hanging on by a thread already. That could change at any moment as well. But maybe with this new alliance, because at the end of the story, the Celestial Dragons, the world government, is not going to fall completely, but the Celestial Dragons will. The infrastructure will still be there, but there still might need to be a way to, like, maintain the power balance in the world. And I think if that happens, like, Katakuri, Luffy, Yamato, maybe some other really strong pirates like Law could be in there as another Yonko, because Luffy's going to be the king of the pirates. He won't necessarily be a Yonko. He's basically considered one of the emperors right now, but I'm talking at like the end of the series, right? So that was my original idea, and if Yamato joins the Straw Hats, that might throw a wrench into things, but not really, no, because Yamato could travel with the Straw Hats for the rest of their journey, go to Elbaf. Don't you want to see Yamato fight a giant? Yamato could quite literally fight Odin. That would be awesome, alright? Don't even know why. I mean, Odin might be a good guy. He might be like, I am Odin, the all-father of the giants. Welcome! Yamato's like, let's fight. I don't know why, but it'll look cool. I'm like, yeah, okay, that is true. That would look pretty cool. Bam! They're going to go to Elbaf and then eventually go to Laughdale. And, at the end of the day, the Straw Hats are going to need as much muscle as they're going to get here. They're going to need, like, ultimate muscle. Like the show, Ultimate Muscle. Ultimate Muscle. Ultimate. Sorry, I flashed back to the early 2000s there for a second. But no, they're going to get a lot more muscle on their crew because, you got the Blackbeard pirates waiting for them. You got all the really strong Marines. If it really is going to be a thing where the Straw Hats reach Laughdale, that's all well and good, and they find the One Piece. Oh, that's great. You found the great treasure. You're now the Pirate King. They step out of the door of Laughdale, and then boom, like they're being chased after by pretty much every other faction in the world. And it's going to kick off the Throne Wars, as Doflamingo said. Doflamingo might even be there as well. It would be an insane battle. And yeah, Jinbei joining is great, but they're going to need Yamato too. Also Carrot. They're going to need Carrot, guys. It's going to happen if they have any hope of winning, right? Okay. So yeah, that's how it is. I really hope Yamato joins. I think the odds are pretty good right now. Just from me reading the last chapter, though, I didn't immediately take that as like 100% confirmed. This is happening now. Maybe I would have if it was like the last panel of the chapter, because it wasn't. If the last panel of the chapter was Kaido and Yamato like clashing with the Conquerors at the top of Onigashima, maybe if it was something different, like Yamato pulls back the Kanabo, and then Kaido pulls back the Kanabo, and then they're about to clash, and like in the last panel of the chapter, as we see that lightning shoot off of the roof of Onigashima, Yamato declares like, after I'm done defeating you, Kaido, and then Kaido's like, whoa, and then like, I will become a Straw Hat Pirate! Boom! Last panel of the chapter, and that's like the dialogue over it. I'd be like, okay, Oda's really laying it on there pretty thick at the end of the last chapter. 2-week break with that. But, that's not how it went. But, the odds are pretty good, so we'll see where that goes. Something else about the last chapter, another thing, not as many people mentioned, but still kind of an important thing to bring up here. So Kaido mentioned his purpose in Wano. Why is he there right now? Or why did he set up shop in Wano over 20 years ago, right? And so he doesn't go into great detail there. He just says, like, there's a reason I'm here. There's a purpose for me being in Wano. It's not just like I picked this place out of a hat, or it's because Orochi extended an offer and I just happened to take it up. No, there's a reason he's there. Okay, so Kaido clearly knows stuff about Joy Boy. He confirmed that when he sent Luffy, home run Luffy off the side of Onigashima. He's like, you couldn't become Joy Boy either. Whether he was referring to Momo or Odin or Roger, whatever, he knows about the existence of Joy Boy. So right then and there, that knowledge alone is not something very common in the One Piece world, okay? We, as a fan base, did not even hear the word Joy Boy, the name Joy Boy, until the Fishman Island arc. When this series was already freaking 13, 14 years into serialization, alright? When Robin read it off as a poneglyph at Fishman Island, alright? So this is something that, I'm sure, Odin knew about it, obviously, because he could read poneglyphs. Roger knew about it because, Odin was on his crew and everything. But for that knowledge just to exist in, random people, civilians in the One Piece world, that's not a thing. So how did Kaido learn about Joy Boy, even hear the name? Maybe from rocks, maybe from, like I said, studying stuff in, the Flower Capital. But no, it couldn't have been that. It had to have been before that, because that's the whole reason Kaido went to Wano, because this prophecy speaks about Joy Boy returning, and Odin wanted to open up the gates to Wano. There's something in that prophecy that has to be worded kind of like, when Joy Boy returns to the world, he will reappear in the land of Wano, or he will arrive at Wano, or he will head to Wano. It has to be worded something like that because Odin, as soon as the Roger Pirates disbanded, he made a beeline back home. He's like, I gotta get back home. I gotta, assume my rightful place as the shogun of the country. I gotta get everything set back on track so I can open up the doors of Wano and ready myself for Joy Boy's arrival. Okay, so it has to be worded like Joy Boy's either going to return in Wano or after he does return, he's going to head to Wano. Okay, and so Kaido learned about this prophecy as well from somewhere. Kaido cannot read poneglyphs, so either he had somebody that could read them for him or something that happened on Rock's crew. He learned about this prophecy. Okay, so how old do you think Kaido is? Let's say I'm thinking that like Queen and King. Around their 50s right now. Jack is 28. He's a little younger than them. He's like their little brother. So let's put Kaido as younger than Big Mom, but not quite as like in his mid 50s. Let's put Kaido around 60. I think that's probably about right. He was an apprentice while on Rox's crew. So if he's 60 years old, 38 years ago, he would have been about 22. If I don't suck at math, but I do, so I probably got that wrong. But he would have been around like 22. But the Rocks crew was around for before that. That's when the crew got destroyed. They were probably raiding the seas up and down the Grand Line for like maybe a decade or even longer before that. So maybe he joined up when he was like a teenager or as a child. Maybe Rocks found baby Kaido and like he was on the crew or something like that. That also goes into line with Big Mom saying that Kaido was like a little brother to her while he was on the crew. So if Big Mom is like 7 or 8 years older than Kaido, she's 67 right now. Say Kaido was picked up by Rocks when he was like 10, and Big Mom would have been like 17, 18. That would have made sense for Big Mom to be like, oh, he's like our little brother or something. Like, okay. So let's go with like age 60, all right? If that's the situation, he arrived in Wano. We don't know the exact year, but it was in between 30 years ago and 25 years ago that Kaido arrived, I think. Because Odin went out to sea with Whitebeard 30 years ago, and everything was fine in Wano. Everything was doing good. Odin was the daimyo of the Curry region. Sukiyaki was still alive. Orochi was still beginning his nefarious plan and everything. But 30 years ago in Wano, everything was still pretty stable, okay? And then he travels with Whitebeard for a few years. Then he travels with Roger. And then they go back to Wano to get the poneglyph during their last journey 25 years ago. And then that's when Odin starts to notice all of the factories around Wano. So Orochi's already beginning factory production. The whole reason those factories exist are to create weapons, and who's he selling off the weapons to? Kaido. So I'm going to assume that it was probably somewhere around maybe 27, 26, 25 years ago while Odin was out traveling. That's when Orochi made the deal with Kaido, and Kaido, set up shop in Wano. And keep in mind, though, when Kaido arrived there, he did not have a lot of fighting power, okay? He didn't have this huge beast pirates with like the smiles and waiters and pleasures and everybody, right? He might not have even had Queen and King and Jack at that point, right? Probably not Jack. He might not even have been born yet. Because Kaido even mentioned this himself. When Odin first returned from his journey with Roger 25 years ago, and then tried to kill Orochi, and then they did the deal with like the dancing in the streets and everything. Later on, Kaido did say, if you would have fought us full force back then, if you would have went back to Curry and rallied all of your scabbards together and got all the samurai ready to fight, if you would have fought us then, you probably would have won. Because we were still in the middle of like building my fortress, and we were still in the middle of like gathering manpower. Plus, he fought against Moria there, so Moria lost, but Moria might have taken out a few of Kaido's fighting force and stuff like there. So it was a little bit unstable there. That seemed to imply that was kind of the beginning of Kaido's like pirate career, right? So if the remnants of the Rocks crew disbanded 38 years ago, and then let's say you give it about maybe 10 years for Kaido to recover from that, wherever he was in the world. He had just received the power of the Ua Ua no Mi, so, that was given to him by Big Mom at God Valley, so it might have taken him a little while to get the hang of the Dragon Fruit, and then realizing what he needed to do, what he wanted to do, what his ultimate goal was, to build up his own pirate crew. So it gave him about 10 years of that. I'm sure he had a crew. He had a pirate crew probably feared as like an up and coming like rookie in the world at that point. But by the time he arrived in Wano, between 30 and 25 years ago, he didn't have a huge fighting force or anything like that. So that's the reason they built the place on Onigashima, and that's why he made the deal with Orochi to begin with, right? And that was all for his ultimate goal, which was probably to meet Joy Boy. And we've talked about this before, like why would he want to meet Joy Boy, to fight Joy Boy, or to get the One Piece himself, or something else involving his prophecy? We do not know. But it was not as simple as just like Orochi being like, I am not Orochi! Hello there, Kaido! I hear you're a strong pirate. Will you come into Wano and help me make my great empire? You know, and Kaido's like, sure, I guess I got nothing else to do. No, it might have even been a thing where Kaido, he's the one that sought Orochi. Kaido might have maybe had spies or somebody keeping an eye on Wano, and like the instability with the ruling clans and everything like that. And then after Orochi took over, Kaido might have been the one to approach Orochi. I thought it was the other way around for so long. You know, I thought it was like Orochi that was the one that like double-crossed all of Wano and accepted, you know, Kaido into his midst as like a beginning theory. This was before we even knew about Orochi's like past or anything. That's what I thought. Like way back in the day, my original theory was Orochi was a well-respected daimyo or noble that sold out his country to Kaido. That was the original idea until we found out about the Kurozumi clan and really where all that ties together. But no, it was probably Kaido. Kaido arrived in Wano, probably not as a dragon, that might have been a little bit too conspicuous, but arrived in Wano and brokered a deal, like, I want to speak to the Shogun. He had a private meeting with Orochi, and he's like, listen, I've heard the stories about Wano, I need to set up my base here, will you ally with me? And Orochi, being Orochi, would be like, yes, absolutely. So, that's probably how that went there. But yeah, Yamato joining the Straw Hats, let's see where that goes, that'd be really epic there. We need to get these posters updated, though. We need way more Jinbei, way more Yamato, and also Carrot. So let's just work with that. We can have, 12 members of the Straw Hat crew. 12 is a good number. 12 is a good number. Nice round number. That's nice. The 12 members of the Straw Hat Pirates. That has a good ring to it. I'm just saying. I was a little bit dubious because if Carrot joined and that was all, then we would just get 11 members of the Straw Hat crew. And 11 is a good number, but it's no number 12. You know what I mean? All right. Well, anyway, that was the video. Oh, no, we got to do end facts. Sorry, that's why. I was like, I was forgetting something. Okay, so that was the video. Now we can move on to...
And facts, facts about ants and other insects, mostly ants.
Yeah, facts about ants. Thanks, Felix. Okay, so today's ant fact is going to be about probably my favorite species of ant. And it's not just one species, it's over 200 species. The army ant. Anybody out there that reads Dr. Stone knows where I'm going with this because the army ants had a very integral role, a few dozen chapters ago. They were really laid out. You know how strong Tsukasa is in Dr. Stone? Tsukasa himself said, yeah, I am not the strongest warrior in the jungle. I'm not the strongest creature here. Jaguars, whatever. Poisonous insects and spiders, whatever. The army ant, that's the thing that would completely destroy me and strip the skin off of my bones. And they really would. They are truly, absolutely terrifying. So what makes the army ant so fascinating is it's a superorganism, okay? It's like, the ants all come together, unifying not as individuals, but like, okay, we together are the single strongest, insect species ever. Because they don't have regular nests or colonies as, a lot of ants do. They literally just clump together, sorry, Barry, into, a living ball, all right? And then they send out these raiding parties, these foraging parties in these giant columns all along the forest floor of, the Amazon. And then if anything even moves, bam, they just get devoured. Look at this poor grasshopper, for God's sakes. Hold on a second, let me try something. And say where the road goes, where the day goes, only time. Yeah, R.I.P. that grasshopper. Anyway, yeah, they send out these raiding parties into the Amazon forest, and they can consume up to over 500,000 prey species a day. 500,000, 500,000 a day. They just wipe out anything that moves around them, okay? And, there's such a huge superorganism. Don't walk barefoot through the Amazon, is all I can tell you. Now, if you're walking turn, you run. You don't get close, okay? Because they will attack you. It doesn't matter that you're bigger than them or whatever. This is a super organism that literally just fights everything. And the more you struggle, the more you're going to go down. They have these huge freaking mandibles, these giant like jaws, like scissors that just cut into you, right? And so that is probably one of the worst ways I imagine to go out in existence, right? There's a lot of crappy ways to go out, but being swamped by a bunch of army ants in the Amazon rainforest, that can't be fun. That is not a painless way to go. But yeah, also they're pretty much blind. Yeah, they're pretty much blind. They just all work together so well that they're one of the most effective predators in the entirety of the Amazon rainforest. Okay, and like I said, this is the freaking Amazon we're talking about here. There's freaking jaguars and stuff down there. Okay, but no, the army ants do not want to mess with them. At any rate, hope you guys enjoyed this video. This will be Techie and Barry signing out. Play the Ant Facts intro again. Ant Facts. Yeah. Later, everybody.
And we're live, I think, because last time I said this, we weren't actually live. But I'm just gonna go with it as if we're live.
What do you mean?
I said we were live. I hit the button for the music, and then you said, "See, we were live the whole time." Hi everyone. Thank you for coming. And
Did you hit the button today?
no,
Last week.
last week.
Well, that's expected.
Thank you everyone for coming and joining us. This Monday. I'm sorry.
Monday!
Monday.
It's Monday! Happy Monday, everybody.
I saw Supersonico in the chat. I've been running a little crazy trying to make sure everything was ready. So I
Staying
saw
up late.
SES Powerlifting is here. Ricky Inglis is here. Larry Lambert, Phil Finch is here. Said good morning. Where are you, Phil? Maybe he's in England. Because I'm like half English, half Scottish and Irish. It's Finch is like an English kind of name. And he's Phil Finch, so it might be English. Just throwing that out there. All right.
I'm just looking at you right now. Where's your
Coming
crickets?
in, Devil's here. All right, I'm gonna get started. So today I'm drawing Superman versus Gorilla Grodd.
Give me that. Give me that. We're both up.
Okay, turn it down. I'm drawing Superman versus Gorilla Grodd. I'm gonna go ahead and get started. You know what? Here, let me show you the layout.
Just start.
I had another piece. My last week's piece of paper was still on my desk, and I was painting on it, and so it was a mess. So I put another piece of paper there, but you can see the old one with paint right over there. And there you go.
Staying up late. Eric keeping Dave up late.
And my layout actually this week.
He's ignoring me. Screw them.
What's that?
That Eric kept you up late.
No, he didn't. I painted with Eric today. As a matter of fact, I have a little bit of paint in my fingernails.
Were you up late last night?
Yeah, I was working there.
Okay.
Okay.
Still, go to bed.
I tried to sleep last night. And then I just couldn't. Okay. I'm gonna start. So this week's drawing is actually, I have the book of the week this week, and I'm excited about this week's book of the week. It's a really good one, and it's one that is very obscure. So, you know, it's actually, I feel like it's a bit of a cheat. You'll see why. But anyway, my layout is really based on a picture in that book. So at 9 o'clock, I'll show you the picture that I'm kind of basing this on. Now, I did my little layout, and I'm drawing this myself, so I'm not going to be copying the picture from it, but the layout is very copied from it. There you go.
Alright, fair enough.
I need order wrote down. I went too high. I'm being very quiet. Oh, wow, your worst layout.
We have the super chat from Page One Comics for $5. Jimmy Reyes saying, just want to say, love you guys.
Ah, thank you, Jimmy.
Oh, and Larry Lambert says, I'm ready for my birthday song. There it is.
I remember that from last week. There you go.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Larry.
Lambert.
Happy, don't call me. Happy birthday to you. And many more. There you go. Was it worth the wait? I hope so. Edwin's World says, hi, Dave Merrick, like your show, been watching for a couple weeks. Oh, welcome to the stream, Edwin.
Yeah.
And Enrique Ingles 123 is here with a super chat for $5. Enrique says, I lost the last 3 years because I was traveling to work for the first time since 2019. It was awesome, but it's great to be back here. I miss the flock.
Oh, I can imagine that in 2018 you were probably miserable about having to work, and now, yeah, it's just nice to get out there. I to get out to the convention. Cannot wait. And I get to the point toward the end of it, because I do what, well, normally, in the past, I would do like 10 conventions a year, I'd say. About right there.
Yeah, easily.
And,
Oh, you know what?
Yeah, there are.
Let me do something. I just had an idea.
So
Before I finish this one, where are we at? 90 minutes? So yeah, this is usually about the time I'll be finishing stuff up.
Get out there and see everybody.
So yeah, let me add something that just kind of struck me now as I was getting ready to
Be out of
finish.
the house,
Out of the house, out of the county. That's
like
what I
out
want
of
to get away.
Essex County.
And the best part is actually, yeah, American local, so it's a party.
So what you mean is you can't wait to get away from me.
No,
Is that what you're saying?
I would rather you came. You know that.
I can't listen. Too much going on. Oh my goodness. As evidenced by my yawn, Pete Michelli has a super chat for $4.99. Thank you for the super chat, Pete. Pete says, Happy Monday, bitches. Dave, you told me last week that you first got hired drawing just backgrounds. Is that something that companies still do?
It's funny. Now, I don't know that. If you can hire drawing backgrounds, I've actually hired, artists to draw backgrounds. Actually, Johnny Desjardins, who's going to be on the show, at some point this summer, I'm going to do a show with Johnny, and we'll have Eric on. I'm going to be doing a bunch of shows coming up with Eric, which I'm very excited about.
A bunch of shows.
Bunch, yeah.
What do you mean a bunch?
We're going to be painting.
A bunch. What's a bunch?
Hmm.
Thousands. I don't know.
It's like, which could be.
Come on, this is a flat
I
operation.
know, but I don't like hearing the word a bunch.
Okay, a few.
Okay,
You know?
okay. A bunch is like, it's too much.
Okay, a few. Some.
I'm gonna be doing some. That sounds reasonable. A bunch feels like an overkill.
Okay, fair enough.
Nancy Boyer says, hope to see you in October at Fan Expo, Dave.
Oh yeah, I will see you there. Actually, that's great. Yeah, I haven't seen Lance for, well, it's been at least a year and a half for sure.
Did you answer the question about whether companies still hire people to draw backgrounds?
Oh, okay. No, they don't. And they didn't then either. But I wasn't. Okay, I was working for a company, so yes, technically it was a company hiring somebody to draw. But I was working for Mark Sylvester. He's an image artist. Well, he is an image artist. He's an image partner. And he needed help on backgrounds for Cyber Force. So my first credit was backgrounds on Cyber Force issue 6. I actually didn't get hired to do backgrounds. There was another artist that did. I didn't get hired to do backgrounds because I wasn't competent enough. I got hired as an intern, which is like, hey, we'll try it out, and if it works out, great. If it doesn't, they'll let you with their die and go home. You know what? They were just great. But
Pretty much the people who didn't make it in Top Cow are the people who quit.
yes, nobody got kicked out. People just quit. Anyway, there was an artist that got hired to do backgrounds, and when he got to the studio, he just had obligations for another book that he was already committed on, and he had to finish that. And so he was at the studio, just working on someone else's book the whole time. It was what it was, And so they were desperate at that point. So I wasn't the only one that helped a few artists in the studio. So I did 2 pages of work, and I got scolded by the great Scott Williams. Not badly, he's so nice, but I drew so much tiny little detail in the backgrounds that I did that it was not inkable, and I wasn't, learning how to type or how to pencil tightly enough for it to be readable and to be, professional work. And that takes time, and I hadn't gotten there yet, and so I gave him an absolute mess. And so he really had to do it. But I learned. So I especially learned actually when I saw him begin with it. So yeah, I didn't do a lot of backgrounds. It wasn't really my start. But
like I was saying, yeah, Johnny Desjardins, he did backgrounds for me for a little bit. I think I can't remember if I got Jay Fablock to do any at all, or if that I wasn't doing that at the time. For the most part, I've always done my own backgrounds, but there have been times, and especially if I have an artist that really does it incredibly well, I try to take advantage for as long as I can, because in my experience, and this has never gone any other way so far, an artist that is good enough to do backgrounds after a certain amount of experience is good enough to do their own book, and I use them. So, it never lasts.
Truth. All right, next super chat comes from Johnny Fitz for $5. Johnny says, "Hey Dave, hey Meredith, and chat. I won't stay too long tonight. I'm drawn all day and laying low tonight. I hope everything and everyone is well." I hope you are well too, Johnny.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much for coming by, and thanks for the super chat.
Thank you.
I also saw that Tom Teacher said he couldn't sing well before we started. He's
Who?
recording. Tom Teacher. Very good to say. And that was somebody else. I think it was Dan and Genovese.
People are going back to work.
People have
World.
responsibilities.
Yeah, the world is changing.
By the way, I was talking about the painting I should show you guys. This is what we did today.
Eric
So-
Grove says a bunch of the bakeries doesn't.
Right. And actually, Eric,
That's 13.
if Eric,
No.
whatever, I have no idea. I think that is right. You get one extra, right?
Yeah. And I'm saying no.
No, so is a bunch an official, actual number?
No.
Okay, I didn't think so. Anyway, yeah, Eric, if you could text Meredith your Batman, actually, really be nice to show it. So yeah, this is the one that I did.
I think you put it on Facebook.
We just did this in black and white today, and it was
Holy
like,
shit.
so fast. And I did this because for the next painting stream, I wanted to do black and white. So we're essentially going to do this. We wanted to just do a trial run to see how.
God damn, David Finch.
That's what we're doing. So
His
yeah,
paintings are
this was
getting way better.
really repeatable.
I mean, they're already good when he started, but
I was very happy. It went fast. So well, yeah, great. Yeah, check out how great Eric's came out. I wish I could see it a little bigger there.
It's on Facebook.
Oh, it's on Facebook.
If you follow Eric on Facebook.
And also, Eric's on Instagram. Maybe Eric can put up your Instagram too. But yeah, Eric's came out great. So anyway, I thought it was a real success. I was very happy with it.
I like your Batman.
And
I
Eric's
like yours.
great. Yeah. All right.
It's great.
So yeah, there you go.
Alright, I like the sepia tones of the Batman. Dan G has a super chat for $5. Dan says, "Hey David, Meredith, and everyone. Have a great stream tonight." Thanks so much, Dan. And have a great night.
See, that was Dan Genovese. Dan G.
He changed it to Dan G because I can't say his last name. Is it Genovese or is it Genovese?
You know what? Yeah, I think it's Dan Genovese. It sounds better, doesn't it? I'm sorry.
We don't know now. I said
You
it
know
right. One week I could say it right, the next week I say it wrong.
This is why I'm looking forward to conventions. I'll get to meet everybody.
I'll say
and-
tomato, I'll say tomato, pajama,
And
pajama.
then we will never say it wrong again.
That's true.
We'll try.
I think after all this time that I don't have my brain is like a filing cabinet where you cram it like paper down to get it to shut. That's what my brain is like these days.
Yeah.
Daniel Castelli has a super chat for $4.99. Daniel says, "Hi guys. Last week you talked about shipping pencils to an inker. Do they also get shipped to a colorist and letterer?" No.
No,
They're-
because
those are done digitally.
right, and that's actually something about. Now, it didn't used to be the case. The inker was shipped to Marvel. Marvel would do, or I think Marvel, because back when we were doing it this way, I was at Marvel, and Marvel would do the scanning or however photograph. I don't know, back in the old days, before my time. But now, if you're an inker, you ink the page. You have to scan it yourself. Then you have to put it in Photoshop, prep it, which means you crush the levels. So you bring up the blacks and bring up the whites. You use the pencil, kind of grit. You have to be careful with it. It's a thing, but and you're responsible for all that. And actually prepping it for print too, which means putting the print borders on. I had to do it a few times, and I don't remember how to do it, but it was a.
Your wife does it.
You know what? If you work, yeah, there you go. And if you work there, they give you a pretty good tutorial.
Alright, Random Pat has a super chat for $5. Random Pat says, "Hey Dave, I'm working on a Moon Knight piece that is heavily inspired by work. I would be honored if you would take a look once I'm finished.
Yeah, that'd be great. Well, maybe on one of the streams we can get it. Uh,
So I feel like yes, agreed. So I feel like I need to say this sooner rather than later. Since
There we go. All right, man, that worked out. I just wanted to throw something on the hat because the hat was looking mighty, whatever. So I thought this was, just add a little something. Didn't have to be anything special or specific. So it's just like, all right, got that done. So here, let me there we go. All right. So yeah, let's call it an end to this one. We're going what, quarter to 2 hours? So yeah, and a little bit of that was just going back to adding a bit more. But yeah, I like this. I like how this one came out. I think I'm finally starting to find what I wanted to with this character, and I'm slowly figuring out where all the problem points are going to be when it comes to designing him and drawing him and things like that. Uh, but at the end of the day, I think I'm going to have fun with this. So either way, I want to thank everybody for watching. This is G Mr. Drew signing out. That's at G Mr. Drew on all social media. You could follow, like, and subscribe. Any and all support is appreciated. And gmrdrew.art, my website. Go check it out. You can contact me through there. All those links are in my bio. And yeah, man, that's gonna be it for this episode of the Andrew Glowczewski Experience, episode 172. Doing some photo bashing of this character. And before I go, let's see where we started and see where we ended, because for the first time I displaced the head to really get the look that I want for this character. So we started here, and this is the original image, and we ended here. So you can see how photo bashing, you could really plug and play and do a whole lot of craziness to really get something going, and switch up an image from its original source. Let's go through it layer by layer so we could see what happened when and where. So here's the original, and off the bat, as always, do the color change, and I immediately began to warp the body, and I wanted to drop the head. So yeah, we dropped the head a bit. I enlarged it a little bit for perspective's sake. Let's see. Always adding the face. Always adding the body. And let's see, also the hair. Got the fin in the back. Love that. So that's what I've been wanting to get for the longest time. The fin is always like this afterthought, or it's so out of the way that it just never gets pronounced. Add the hat logo just because I wanted to break up all the red with something. And yeah, man, I think this worked out. I love it. I think it's great. There's a lot that can be done with these characters, but I have so many that I want to get to, so it's going to be cool to see, to do similar things like this with them, and actually play certain parts, or just give them these designs that are weird and crazy and out there. And yeah, man, I really hope you guys enjoyed this. If you do, hit that follow button. I'm trying to get to my affiliate status, and in order to do that, I need 50 followers, and right now I have about half that, and I've been stuck at half that for months now. Every time I seem to gain one follower, I lose one, and I've been bouncing between 24 and 25 for like ever. It's like, oh, I get 25, and then the next day it's back down to 24. I'll do a stream, and then boom, it's back up to 25, and then boom, it's back down to 24. And I'm like, what is going on? And it went on long enough and bad enough that my conspiracy brain kicked in. Like, hey, man, they don't want you to win, which clearly, obviously, isn't the case. It's just I'm trying to build up to at least affiliate status, so I can get whatever perks come with that. So that way I can better the channel and better the experience and start to provide more for the community and things like that. And yeah, man, so if you like this and you enjoy this, for sure, uh, let's let's get that. You know what? I want to do something. I didn't realize it until I was just breaking this down, but let's do this, man. Color, brush, and let's do that there like that. Let's do that there like that. And just to break up this guy's tattoos over here. I didn't realize that I hadn't gotten whatever. So yeah, let's just add a little bit of color. Just finding things and for lack of a better term, fixing them. There we go. Get some of that. And do we got some green? All right. Yeah, just so that arm isn't looking as bare. There we go. Cool. Get that arm matching. Let's save again. Replace.
Which beep?
And save over this again. And yeah, that's gonna be it. Is today? Oh, you know what? Well, this one I guess can still count as the 14th. And the next one I work on will be as the 15th. That'll be the next video, man. We just touched that up real quick. Thank you and good night. I'll be right back.